What would I say are Spike's best episodes? Would I say Just for Sidekicks or Secret of My Excess? No, I would say the best Spike episodes are Winter Wrap-Up, Lesson 0, and Equestria Girls. In my last video, I mentioned that Spike is at his best when he serves as an advisor and assistant to Twilight. I think that this is his best role in the show. I like the episodes when Spike serves this more secondary role as opposed to the episodes that have Spike as the central character. This sort of advisory role for Spike is good because it's the only time it feels like Spike actually serves a purpose in the show. There are the Spike-centered episodes where he causes far more problems than he actually solves. Owl's Well That Ends Well, Spike at Your Service, Dragon Quest, they all have Spike causing problems and then someone else coming to bail him out. In all of these episodes, he just completely fails to be a useful character to anyone. He's nothing but a burden in these episodes, and it leaves you thinking, why even have Spike in the show if he's not going to be a worthwhile character? Ever since Spike hatched, he was meant to be Twilight's assistant. His role in life was to make himself useful. And it doesn't make sense in these episodes that someone who has useful as such an intrinsic part of his character would so completely and utterly fail to be useful. And this is the big problem with Spike episodes. The Spike we see in those episodes isn't actually Spike, it's just some other personality that the writers needed for the episode that just got attached to Spike. He's just completely inconsistent and out of character in these episodes. In the Crystal Empire, we see that Spike's greatest fear is no longer being in Twilight's service. But in Spike at Your Service, he just says, "See ya, Twilight, K thanks, bye." Spike is also shown to be a very skilled assistant, but again, in Spike at Your Service, he's suddenly grossly incompetent. In Secret of My Excess, he's a complete douchebag. In Dragon Quest, he's really nice and soft and wouldn't hurt a fly. The writers just have no idea what Spike is supposed to be when he has his own episode. But then we get to the episodes where Spike serves his secondary role of being Twilight's assistant, and then we see why Spike is actually such a valuable character in the show. It's in these episodes where he is actually useful and not just causing problems for everybody. It's here that he does his job and gives advice to Twilight and helps her out. In Equestria Girls, for example, he's able to catch on to the intricacies of the human universe and bails Twilight out of a number of awkward situations. Uh-oh, guys, did you see that? That was a slap. That's domestic abuse, apparently. And we all know what happened when putting your hoof down did that. Someone better call the butthurt police. We're gonna have a lot of angry people whining about this. Okay, I kid. But seriously, I think Spike does a good job in Equestria Girls. Spike is at his best when he advises, and man does he advise in Equestria Girls. His advice isn't always the best, but at least he's doing the job he was hatched to do. The same thing can be said for Winter Wrap-Up. I also think that Lesson 0 is probably the best example of Spike being useful. He does his best to try to keep Twilight sane for as long as possible, and he even brings about the resolution of the conflict when he calls in Celestia to help. This whole thing implies a sort of interesting relationship between him and Twilight. It shows that Spike's greatest responsibility with helping Twilight isn't helping with household chores, it's helping Twilight against herself. Twilight is prone to going insane about small problems, which is why she needs to have Spike there to tell her to snap out of it when she does. This really gives Spike a useful role. It shows that without Spike helping her, Twilight simply wouldn't even be able to function at all in society. Heck, even in the very first episode, Spike is encouraging Twilight to go out and talk to other people. Spike understands that Twilight is pretty socially inept, which is why he helps Twilight to overcome these problems, by helping her make friends, keeping her out of awkward situations, and telling her not to worry about every tiny little thing that happens. So in conclusion, whenever Spike is given the spotlight, he just ends up embarrassing himself and making everybody hate him. But when he works as a helping hand to Twilight is when he can actually be a very useful and a very likable character. Thanks for watching.